Hi everyone, my name is Daniela Zambrana. I work in Vienna. I have a private practice where I work with individuals, couples and groups, and also with companies, and more in teamwork and leadership. And yeah, my main focus is on co-energetics, which is a methodology of body psychotherapy. Chris will tell you some more afterwards. But I also use elements of systemic work and neuroscience, neurosensory, which are coming from occupational therapy and primitive integration of primitive reflexes. So a lot of body work. And yes, so I also work online, of course. Nowadays, it's kind of usual. And I'm going to give the word to Chris, and I'm happy to be here again.
Hi, and I'm Chris. Yeah, I'm in Massachusetts in the United States, not far from Boston. And I could say a lot of the same things Dani was just saying about herself, working with individuals and groups and couples. And I have, in addition to the core energetics work that we met through, Dani and I met through a training in couples work, and in the modality of core energetics. I also have done training in coaching, integral coaching in particular, the work of Ken Wilber and others. And I'm also a meditator and work with a Zen group, and we do a thing called Mondo Zen, which kind of is a beautiful place bringing together emotional work with contemplative work. So that's a few of the things. I've done Reiki, and all of this has really come together beautifully to how to live in the body more. So a little bit about core energetics. Well, let me start just talking a little bit about our work, which is we've said in our material that we love working with conflict. And so while Philip put out the mission of Love Lab and Relate to be about love, we find conflict is an essential part of love. It's an essential pathway to love, because it's the way we get underneath our difficult experiences when we are in relationship. So we're trying to work things out through our body, through our mind, and we kind of can operate on the surface for so long. But what you'll find in this workshop, and hopefully you saw that in the workshop we did in February, that we get underneath that surface reactivity stuff and find what's really going on that's often in our unconscious. But we use the body as a way to find that out. And that's what core energetics does. It's a body-centered evolutionary process. It's about working with energy in particular and bringing consciousness to energy. So all of the things I've just been saying is another way to describe that. We do a lot of movement work. We're trying to free up the energy by locating where it's blocked, and the movement in the body helps to determine that and to do that organically. So it's a whole being approach to learning about ourselves, not so much psychology in particular, but a whole modality of body, mind, and spirit. So I think that's enough. Back to you, Dani.
I just want to mention before we go further, I don't know, Chris, is it your background noise? Because there's a lot of background noise and people have been commenting.
Yes, I have to apologize. The winter just officially ended here, and my neighbors hauled in some yard workers who are running these machines just now for the first time since October.
Okay.
They will be gone in a few minutes, and in the meantime, I'll put myself on mute.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to put on the slides. Hold on. So now you should see the slides. Is that, do you see that?
And Donnie, if I could just say, we'd love to see more faces on the screen too. So any of you that are willing to stop, do your video button and come be, we'd love to see your faces. Of course, very optional.
Okay, so this is what we're going to work on today. So a brief agenda, and just for you to, we're going to do some experientials and also work on breakout rooms. So if you know, maybe you wanna, I hope you wanna join your partner in breakout rooms. If not, then in that time we will play some music or something. But the reminder, you know, that this is going to be filmed and recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, take yourself off the camera. And yeah, so it's again, as you can read, it's again about needs. And some of you, or the one of you that had the chance to attend to our workshop in February, it was also about needs, right? So it's still needs. It's always going to be about needs. And just to make reference, Chris, can you post on the chat the YouTube link to our first workshop? So if you want to have a look to that afterwards, you can do it. And so the difference between last workshop and this workshop is that last workshop was more about developmental needs, which occur or appear in our developmental growing up. And this is more needs related to our attachment, or to the attachment theory, so to say. So this is what we're going to see today. We're going to see the classic fight of the autonomy seekers and the connection seekers, right? And many times those two people, people who need different needs or have different needs, meet together, and that's where conflict begins. And we're also going to have a look to the three types of purposes or needs that you're looking for, because as we presented, it's not what are you fighting about. The about is the story, right? The storyline, and it's many times the story which I project from the past, which I project into the future or into now. And so what gives us a clue and where we can be just much more faster in recognizing what is really about is I need to look at what am I looking for, what do I need. And then we're gonna, see some typical statements and behaviors, and we'll work on that in the breakout rooms. Okay, so let's jump into it, and we're gonna start with an experiential, which Chris is gonna lead, and we're also gonna do some body work in it this time. So
great. Hopefully it's quieter behind me now. Is that so? Oh, good. Thank you, Philip. Yeah, we're going to tell you two stories about two people that represent these two types that Danielle has been introducing you to. And we want you to listen. So we want you to really drop into where you are now in your body as you're listening to the stories. So, and we'll actually give you some movements if you're willing to try that out, so that will help kind of take in the story as each of the two people, right? So the movements are important, right? Because this is what our work it distinguishes from kind of listening and just talking and being more in the mind, and yet getting more information through the body. So if you're willing, we're going to start. We have a character we have named Leah, who is someone who is an autonomy seeker, to illustrate that kind of character. So if you're willing to stand up, Donnie is going to kind of demonstrate the body movement that we would suggest you might try out as you listen to the story about Leah. So if you're staying sitting or standing, either way, just do a little quick body scan, check in with your feet on the floor, Feel your seat in the chair, or feel your knees soft, connecting energy from your feet up through the body. Let your shoulders relaxed. Let your breathing relaxed. So find a good, strong, but flexible stance. And then, since Leah is an autonomy seeker, she wants to push people away. So try the movement of pushing away, and Donnie will illustrate that. You can actually pin her video if you want to get the full picture of the movement. Right, just get away. So this is get away from me. Get away from me. I want to be by myself, right? Another version you can try is to go with your shoulders. Get off my back, like get out of my space. So get off my back. See how she's cranking her elbows and arms back. So you can try those out. So I'll start the story, and you just do a sequence of those motions, and let your body kind of take over, even if it's kind of, because it hopefully will activate a little energy of that I want to be by myself stuff. Okay, so Leah is a very active little girl. She loved to run, investigate the world around her. Her mother, on the other hand, was challenged by her daughter's overactive energy and did her best to keep her on a tight leash. She loved her dearly. She didn't want her to get hurt, and so she saw threats everywhere to Leah, constantly worried. But it was also true her capacity to be with so much energy that Leah brought was limited. So her efforts came across as warnings. You've seen this kind of parent, right? Leah, don't get any closer. Stay away, Leah. No, you can't go there, Leah. Stay by my side, Leah, right? And gradually, Leah succumbed to the constant stream of commands like that. She started to feel her mother's fear as her own. In order to live with these limitations and keep contact with her mother, she learned to ignore her inner impulses, her energy, her very life force. So she grew older and was apart from her parents, like in school. She began to live a kind of a two-part life. On the one hand, she was reclusive, she was protective, keeping to herself a lot, avoiding others who would try to tell her what to do. And then on the other hand, she would find more aggressive ways to act out and criticize others. So that was a way of keeping separate from them by criticizing them. And all this played out as an adult as she moved from one relationship to another. As soon as a partner would demand too much of her, and she'd see criticism there, she would back away, including demands on intimacy and commitment. It made her feel anxious and ready to distance herself, leading to breakups. And then on the other hand, when she found a partner who was very accommodating to her, she got bored and moved on. So that's Leah. So if you're sitting or standing, just kind of shake out that energy, not just subtle little, just little gentle, okay, Leah, we're letting you go. And we're going to meet Michael. And we'll show you a few movements for Michael. So again, check in with your body. Feet, knees, seat, heart. Take some breaths. And Michael is a connection seeker. Michael, so the movement you can try out is to reach your hands out. It's as if you're grasping for something, but you can't quite get what you're grasping for. It's a little farther away out of reach. So you're partly grasping for something, and you're partly trying to bring something toward you. So that's your movement to try out. Use your eyes too. You can actually, take your eyes and try to meet Donnie's eyes as she's there with the movement. That would be easier if you make her the pin, you can pin her video. So Michael, he was an only child. His parents worked full time and didn't have a lot of time for him. They loved him, but they weren't around too much. And at the end of the day, when they came home or were available, Michael would just talk nonstop or do anything he could to grab their attention, clinging, being noisy, messing things up in the room, interrupting their conversations. And every time, his parents just had no patience and would start ignoring him. So he was always hearing comments like, "Michael, please leave me alone. Michael, go and play on your own. Stop clinging, Michael. You're making me crazy. Just be a good boy and go sit by yourself." Unconsciously, he interpreted his parents' inability to hold his energy and be emotionally present with him as belief that he was not worthy or lovable. And as an only child in school, Michael was constantly getting into trouble by talking all the time. School was a time for him to get the attention he couldn't get at home. And he had a lot of friends. So if a conflict came up with one, he could turn to another. He didn't like conflict at all. It made him feel lonely and frightened. And as an adult, he found a partner who was attracted by his cleverness and his entertaining talk. And for a while that worked. But he was empathetic toward the moods of his partners, adapting to their desires. It was important for him to share his feelings because of that, and physical contact. It would make him feel close. But gradually, his demand for attention had the opposite effect. Connections would start to weaken. Criticism would become the new norm. This led to feeling neglected, being alone, shutting down. And still he would not leave. So that's Michael. So again, take some deep breaths, do a little just movement in your chair, shake out, let Michael go. And I will send you back to Daniela. Daniela has some good blood flowing now, so she's
yes. I just went into it.
Yeah.
It always helps a lot to express that story with movements. So it really helps you to get into it. So we want to do a small sharing with. I have some questions here which I want to share too, but maybe some of you can respond to the questions for yourself, and maybe some of you want to share. Hold on, I'm not that fast today. So exactly that kind of questions. So which type do you identify with? Which was the story more likely to your own story? Is it more the need for connection or the need for autonomy? And how did that show up for you as a child? What was your story? What did your parents do or say to you to shape that story, right? And how is that similar to what your partner is doing to you or saying to you? And in childhood, many times we have this body impulses which we don't follow. So maybe there were some body impulses coming up in these exercises. So reflect on that. What happened to you in a bodily level? And maybe some of you want to share. I'm gonna stop this so I can see if people raise their hand and somebody wants to share on on the experience right now?
You can turn your video on and wave your hand, or you can put up your Zoom hand, that thing down in the toolbar.
Okay.
Or you can just speak up. There's a hand. Zaira?
Yeah.
Can you
Switch off your mic.
there you go. Is it Zaira? We can't hear you.
Okay, maybe she didn't want to share.
Okay.
Okay. So if there's no one sharing, we'll just move forward with the next part. So we want to give you some overview of how this can show up, so that you have kind of a better understanding, right? And it's also, we're gonna share the slides after the workshop anyway, so maybe you can take them as a guideline or something. And we're gonna give you, as I said, some information, and then we're gonna go to the breakout rooms with that information. So I'm gonna share again. So, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris.
I'll jump in. Yeah. So I'll tell you, we'll walk you through the slides about the autonomy seeker. This is the one who wants to be their own person. They want their own value. They have to kind of, they've been kind of pushed aside, and so they need to stand up and find themselves in the world, to have interests that don't always include your partner. So it's not just all about us, it's about me too. To take space when you need it, to be guided by your own inner compass. So that's a kind of a broad view of who the autonomy seeker in us is. And by the way, these types are, of course, another category, you could say, and it's not meant to mean that you are one or the other. So you're looking for the autonomy seeker in you, and then when we get to the connection, you can look for the connection seeker in you. So the next slide, we'll look at the behaviors of the autonomy seeker. So what do they do? What are behaviors of trying to find your autonomy? It's often one who distances, has frequent need for alone time, doesn't want to be controlled. That's a big one. Fears losing his or her sense of self in the relationship. So it's even more important to stand apart. And so you're less of a communicator. You don't want to get drawn into too much problem solving, because it might mean you have to be less of yourself in some way. Tendency to keep things inside, holding secrets. Gives in and holds resentment. Never gives in at his or her worst. No. Life outside the relationship sometimes becomes more important than the partner. So in that balance between life with partner and outside world, you can lean to the outside to get away from the threatening aspect of living in deep intimacy. And conflict avoidant. So what does an autonomy seeker say to his or her partner? Things like, stop nagging me. I just need time for myself. So when you're hearing your own story, are these phrases, sentences that come up? You don't know what's best for me. You always want to talk things out, but I just need some room. You're getting the picture here, right? You are too needy. We're not going through this again. No more. I'm not you. I just want to sleep. Get out of my face. I don't tell you what to do. And why don't you let me do my own thing without giving me a hard time? So that's the autonomy seeker, painted to the extreme. And now Donnie will take us through the connection seeker.
So, as you remember, Michael, this was Michael, the second one, you know, with trying to connect, you know, give me, see me, make connection with me, right? This is the story, what he didn't get, right? So the need here with an intimate partner, but also with other relationships, friendships, any other kind of relationships, is the need to feel close to the other. The need for empathy, so that he needs to be seen. It's also a lot about feeling safe in the relationship, because there is a constant connection, right? So they're looking for constant connection. The constant sharing of the feelings, the way we do it is, well, we see the behaviors afterwards, but is by wanting to be listened or listen to the other, right? Many times we give what we need, okay? There's a lot about having fun together, and it's having fun together is of course wonderful, but you know, in the sense of doing everything together. A lot of need for physical and touch and physical contact, and to share responsibilities in life, right? So that through the responsibilities to create the connection, right? So this is more or less the need that the connection needs, so to say. And yeah, and the typical behaviors, because usually it's not that open on the as we say here, on the table, right? So the way you can see this kind of connection seekers are they communicate openly about the lack of connection. You know, we are not talking. It's never enough. It's never enough connection many times, right? This is constant search for connection. The energy is more focused on the partner than outside the relationship. So there's a disbalance between the life in the relationship and the life outside relationship. The needs and desires are expressed outwardly, and many times as a demand. I need you to, you have to, right? You have to talk to me. You have to give me time, to give us time. You have to be home at 8 or whatever. Anxieties arise when the partner, when they think or feel they're losing the contact. Okay, so it's difficult for them to deal with that. Wants to do everything with a partner, I've already said that, and wants to dive into conflicts. You know, it's an endless conversation about who said what, and you know, all the nuances of it. And with the real need of resolve the conflict, because it's very difficult to stay away, you know, to not have harmony. Yeah, they complain that the partner is not involved enough in the relationship, in the household activities, and in the common life. And yeah, a lot of shopping is, we just put it there because it's kind of, it's a lot of, there's a big relation to that when the insecurities are up. But, you know, any kind of other addictions or compensations behaviors, whatever that may be, because this is really different from person to person. And the typical statements you would hear with a connection seeker is, listen to me, right? Talk to me. Don't walk away. You know, I just want to feel connected. Let's do some shopping together. I'm just trying to get you to understand me, right? Where are you? You're not home. I don't see you enough. This is one of my favorite ones. This discussion is not over. I'm not finished, right? I don't think you even care. I want your help. I need your help. I need your support but from a demanding space, right? It's an immature need here. Wanting support, everyone needs support, but this, you need to help me, has another energy. Our relationship is more important to me than it is to you, right? We compare with most of the time, connection seekers and autonomy seekers get together, and then they start comparing, and that's a losing game. And why don't you do more thoughtful things for me, right? So these are, you get the picture. We just put some of them. There are thousands of it, but we just put the picture, we just put some of them up so that you kind of get into the mood of the connection and the autonomy seeker. And I think we would like to do a breakout room now. So we would like to give you some questions we're going to put in the chat. Philip, if you can put that in the chat and create the breakout rooms. And what we want you to, I'm going to put this again up. Sorry, I just finished too tight. So these are the questions or the reflections we want you to talk about and reflect on with your breakout room partner. So choose a fight, a typical fight with your partner or with your parent or with your sibling or with your boss or with your friend or, you know, whoever. It doesn't have to be your partner, because this connection and autonomy behaviors, we have it with everyone, right? Think about 2 or 3 things you think you usually say. So the statements, you know, 2 or 3 things you usually do. So what is your behavior here? And reflect on those experiences, identifying as, are you more in the autonomy seeking part, or is this the connection part? And it may vary depending on the person too, right? So as Chris said, you have a part of you who's seeking for autonomy, and also a part of you seeking to connect with the other. And you can also reflect, if you want to, on what's the behavior and the statements of your partner, because many times it's either the same or the opposite, right? So maybe you can see or mirror, your partner helps you mirror what is happening with you. So for the ones who are not joining and the breakout rooms and just want to have a review of what we just said, I'm gonna just put on the slides for a few minutes, and you can, you know, read it again or just let it sink or identify yourself with it.
I'm guessing that sometimes it's easier to remember what your partner tells you rather than what you say to the partner, huh?
Yeah.
How well do we hear ourselves? Well, that's why we have a partner.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think my preferred sentence on the autonomy seeker, we're not going through this again, huh? This is not going to happen. Yeah. Yeah. And now our connection seeker. If anyone wants to share, we would love to hear your experience.
Yeah, Alex?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, I would like to share. I got a little bit confused because I think before I was more autonomy seeker, and now I have one more behavior from that period, and I still don't like to be controlled, and it's very like strong. But now I feel I'm more like connection seeker, And I discovered that I cannot relate to all of those examples you had, but I can definitely relate if my partner becomes distant for no apparent reason. I would really like to talk about it and see what's the reason of being distant. And that can make me feel a little bit anxious. And but I like to relate or connect also with friends and colleagues or co-workers. I'm kind of more into connection with people in general. So it doesn't have to be only partner. I like in general, like real connections, if I can call them that. So yeah, that's approximately my experience for now.
And did you find a sentence or something when you are in this place of anxiety, of wanting to connect, and your partner is ghosting you, or is not, is going into distance? Do you have like a typical sentence you say? Or
I always say, just please talk to me. Please tell me what's in your head and what's in your heart, so I can just relax. Like, I don't have problem if my partner wants to have some space or spend time with someone else. Totally fine. But I don't like lack of communication. That freaks me out.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Alex, that might be a good, I might come back to you when we do the final part after this discussion that might help inform your experience as well.
So,
Anyone?
Can I share?
Of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had a talk about changing the roles. For example, for me, that was so that in my previous relationships, I was maybe the authority seeker and my partners were connection seekers. And in my recent relationship, that's I am the connection seeker and he's the authority seeker. So it changed. And for my partner now, I've forgotten her name, but he told that for her during the time in this 10 years relationship with the same person, she had also some change. At the beginning, she was the authority seeker, but now it's like a balance in the relationship. So it can change. That's my question. It could change during the time, or in different relationship can be different, or we have always the same rule or same pattern. I don't know. I mean, for me, was the different in different relationships. My role was different.
You want to answer that, Chris, or yeah?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's absolutely a natural pattern, partly because it's through phases of our life, but partly it's an indication that, yeah, we're a little bit of each of these things. And then we're going to add a third one in to make it more complex, right? So what's really driving us at a particular time might be the piece of us that's being ignored or that has been ignored for longer periods. So it's just kind of bubbling up and needs more attention. So, of course, then we would be drawn to somebody quite different than the person we were involved with before, right? Because we've sort of checked that out and tested that out, and of course it's all quite complex. But this is really not to say, oh, I'm this or I'm that, but oh, there's a little bit of connection need in me right now. There's a little bit of autonomy need in right now, and so I just need to pay attention to that. It doesn't, then there's another step to having the good fight, but at least we've started with the foundation of having a sense of what we're fighting for, which is our primary teaching to you today. I hope that helps. Or Donnie, you might have more to add.
Yeah, I think I would add some more, but maybe we can do that in the quick Q&As because we're kind of running short. So
Yeah.
let's finish that, and I may say something else or add something. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So thanks for sharing. Let's do our last part because this is not it. We have a third. Third thing we talk about or we look for on a third need, and Chris, this is your part, so go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. I think the autonomy seeker and the connection seeker represent some real fundamental, almost survival based, and we talked earlier about attachment theory, but these are things that are so fundamental to being a human, right? When we get into more complexity and more developmental progress in our lives, of course, meaning takes on a much bigger piece of our experience. So we call that value seeker. Value, really, we could say, what matters to you, right? So the overview is, and this is to know that your partner appreciates who you are, to be told you are loved. So there's some love-based things, but there's also some worth, for your positive qualities to be noticed. I matter in what I bring to the world and my gifts and my talents and my so on. To feel prioritized in your partner's life, back to love maybe, but these overlap. This worth and this love need elevate to something beyond just I have to have somebody next to me or I need my space. It's much more higher set of needs. And to be encouraged, to be respected, you start to get a sense of that. What matters in my life, and how can my partner help see that, help me see that, help know that I am seen? So let's look at the behaviors and the statements of the value seeker. Behaviors, you want to matter. So you position yourself in the course of the day to do important things. You seek reassurance and attention from your partner. So that's where this whole complex issue of communication continues to be central to tending to needs and fighting about the needs. Does things to be noticed and loved. Gets triggered when appreciation is not offered freely and spontaneously. Like, you're supposed to notice me. Shouldn't have to ask that you notice me, right? Seeks confirmation from partner rather than from the self. So these are all aspects of the value seeker. And then the statements, things like, I don't think you appreciate me. You used to compliment me more than you do now. So again, this is coming in with the critic mind and complaining, as opposed to maybe asking for support. All I hear from you is what I am doing wrong. You put your work ahead of being with me. I bought you all your favorite foods and you don't even notice. I want you to tell me I look attractive. My friends tell me that I am funny. You don't laugh at my jokes. Stop criticizing me. Why don't you notice my positive qualities? I wish you'd appreciate how much I encourage your communication. I wish you'd appreciate how steady and independent I am. So that, I think we'll have to keep moving on because we're running short on time. But this is just a third way of evaluating where you are when you're in conflict with an important relationship in your life. We keep using the word partner, but as Donnie has said, it can apply to any number of close relationships. So, Donnie, back to you. Oh, you're on mute, Donnie, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So this is one of our favorite sentences because it really expresses so much. And we want to give credit now to our mentors, Marcia and Brian Gleason, which have, giving us everything we know about relationship work. And we don't have 1,000 fights. We really have one fight 1,000 times. So look for the one thing you're fighting for. What is it? Is it autonomy? Is it connection? Is it value? Right? And your one fight, it's more or less always the same. It has maybe some nuances and some changes, but it's your own particular way of trying to put connection, autonomy, and value together. It's your own. And so it is also your partner's, right? So if you can get to know, work on each other on exactly that thing, and get to know more what's behind all that statements and what's behind all that behaviors, and see what's the combination, what we are trying to meet here, which needs for connection, autonomy, or value are we trying to meet here. That's going to bring us much more closer to the what are you fighting for than what are you fighting about, which is the story. And the story doesn't bring us anywhere, right? So next time, and this is something you can take with you, next time I'm in a fight, I can ask myself, what is happening now, right? So what statements am I giving? What kind of behaviors do I have and my partner? And what's the body experience? Maybe I can find out, like one of the movements we did. And I can ask myself, what am I fighting for? Connection, autonomy, or value? So what do I really need? Yes, so this is something you can just take as a guideline. Ask yourself, what am I fighting for next time? And it really makes a lot of shortcuts, which can save a lot of energy, and it really helps you to drop deeper into connecting really to your partner. And I think we're done. Yeah, so we're gonna offer an online working group in conflicts and relationships. So if you're interested, send us an email, and it's going to be online 5-6 times for 6 weeks on sequence, where we do some theory, and we do also some would work with the couples or with individuals. So you don't have to be in a couple. You can work also as individuals. You can bring your sibling or your parents or your friends. And yeah, so we would, work with all this much more deeper. And I think that's it. So we're really on time, huh? So I think there may be some Q&As, but Philip, maybe you want to, close it officially, or want to say some words here?
And we'll stay on.
So, I mean, so just respect the time for those who need to leave. It is now 2 minutes past 8, so we will officially end the hour here. And Chris will stay on for another few minutes if there are any questions. And there are some questions now. If there's a Facebook page or website or something to follow your work, and they will also to respond to that, we can send out an email after this to everyone who have registered with some links to get to know more about Daniela and Chris. And I'm also going to post a link to the Facebook event for the upcoming Love Lab, which will be on the 9th of May. So there will be more info posted about that soon, but we don't have it yet, but it will be about masculine and feminine energies. Very interesting one. So with that said, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And for those who need to leave, hope to see you soon. And we'll stay on for another 10 minutes with Daniela and Chris, for those of you who have any questions. So if there is anyone who has questions, just feel free to unmute and ask or raise your hand.
What was the email address?
IUTTUK comply. Okay.
I mean the email address.
The email address. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna type it in the chat.
But it's contact@artofrelationship.org.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, here you have it now, and I'm not sure if I put the.
And our website, we could put up.
The website is wrong, by the way. It's out of relationship. I'm sorry.
Whoops.
It's outofrelationship.org and not .com. Sorry.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you to put up that slide, Donnie, but maybe not, huh?
So, yeah.
Other questions or comments? You can.
Yeah, or maybe you want to share something from the room. We didn't have so much time for the, sharing the breakout room. So maybe, yeah.
Or just how this leaves you with more questions too. That's another way to help us pick up for the next.
Or Daniela, do you wanted to add something to my question?
Yes, I can do that. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, regarding your question, why you had it, you were in, let's say, in a different role in other partnerships, and now you're in the opposite role. It really depends also a lot of, we choose our partners for their good and bad qualities of our parents, right? So and we do that unconsciously to heal, whatever we did not get from our parents at the time when we were little. We choose a partner who does the same thing, so to say, so that I can now work on it and learn how to be with it from a mature place and give me that what I need, because my partner is not probably going to give it to me or be able to give it to me all the time. So depending on what we choose unconsciously, our soul, whatever, what we choose to heal, we choose different partners. So that's why you can come up with one partner being in more the connection seeker role. I don't want to call it role because it's not a role. You are more in touch with your connection needs, right? Than with another partner, which you need to heal something else, and that's where your more autonomy needs get triggered, so to say. So it really depends a lot on why did you choose that partner, right? What do you need from that special partner? Yeah.
I have a question.
And sorry, and just for Sarah, Angelica, just a minute, because the second part, you said your partner was changed within the relationship, right? With the same partner. And I mean, this is great. And this is a beautiful developmental, right? So if I'm starting in a relationship in my connection needs not getting met through the relationship, and I grow up inside, I'm mature, then I'm able to meet my partner from a more mature side. And then I may work then on my autonomy needs. So it's a good sign that you're working in the relationship with you're growing up with your partner. Yeah. Angelica, sorry.
Yes, okay. I just think that the value seeker seems to be the more mature way. Am I wrong with that, or is the value seeker the kind of attachment style or personality style that you're supposed to have, if you know what I mean? I think the value seeker is a more balanced than the other two.
Yeah, you could say that the value seeker is a little bit higher on the hierarchy of needs, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, whereas connection and autonomy are a little bit lower down to, we talked about being safe, physical safety and basic needs that come lower on our existence as just small, immature human beings, even though we carry that immaturity into our adulthood many, many ways. So you're right. And value is just that higher, more mature level. That's when we develop we have stronger ego development. So we bring along, we develop our professions, our skills, our gifts, and channel those into the world. And we want to be recognized for that. So absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
There any? So looking at the chat.
Yeah, I was just glancing at that too.
Yeah.
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 And again, we have lots to say another time about, this greater theme about how to have a good fight. This is kind of a base level of helping us assess what we're fighting for. Well, then how do we fight in an effective way what we're fighting for, right? How do we go about that? How do we communicate better? Well, partly we're communicating better from a more developed awareness of what's at issue here, as opposed to the surface issues that are just covering up the real need underneath. So we can jump in there, but then it's not always what Donnie and I work so much with, as you know by now, is the body. And so it's not just about talking through the issues, but actually using our expressions, our energetic expressions as part of the communication. Becomes an essential piece. And of course, you do that therapeutically in the therapy room, but then you learn how to take those skills out in an appropriate way to the real world. So that might be everyone. Last chance.
Last chance, yeah. Okay. So I hope, we hope you enjoyed it, and you could thank you for your comments. We hope you enjoyed it and you can take some of it. We always try to do guidelines and make it really simple and have it as an overview, so you can take it home and practice with your partners, siblings, colleagues, or whoever you have conflicts with, or just to have a more intimate relationship. Yeah, more trustworthy one. Right.
So we welcome your contacts, contact@artofrelationship.org, and we more than happy to talk with you just about questions or about further work or being part of this group that we're going to be forming. So please feel free to open a conversation.
Thank you so much, Chris and Daniela, and thank you everyone who joined and for your courage and willingness to learn and grow. In the traditional manner, let's finish off with a little nice song, and then we'll close. So thank you everyone so much for tonight, and wish you a wonderful continuation of this Monday. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Philip.